Let's see. Let's see. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing out there? Let's do some sound checks right quick. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining. Today we're gonna be on the North Texas Beltline. Thanks for all the votes. I got to be honest, I was pretty excited when I saw everybody sorry, not everybody, but the majority of people voted for the North Texas Beltline. I thought that was pretty awesome. So glad you guys did that. Let's make sure my video stream is actually working, because right now it seems to be showing me the wrong thing. All right, so yeah, let's get some sound checks. Let me know if you think the locomotives are too loud. I imagine they're probably not, but I can change the game settings if I need to. And then right now I see, though, that my screen is actually not showing, so let me figure that out real fast. Not, there we go. Is that showing? On my end, it's not showing. Yeah, still seeing the intro. Yeah, that's what I'm showing too, but my software is not saying that. That is weird. Okay. Didn't have this problem last time. Let's see what's going on. Okay, looks like that did it, for what it's worth. If I go back there, does that do it? Ah, there we go. Okay. All right. Nice. Let's do this. So I got a couple of things planned. Hopefully we can go for about an hour and a half or so. But figured I would just real fast, just kind of snake around, talk about what's been happening. I haven't actually run a train on here in a little bit now, but first up, what we'll do in a minute, we will come and we will work in Kingston Yard. We will break this train down. This is the last train I ran. We just got it classified here in the yard. Won't take too long. And then this is Kingston Yard. So, and then from here we'll run over to, let's see, this is the DGNO interchange in McKinney, and we will pick up a train over here to run, the one with the Rock Island locomotives, and we will run this one. This is a way freight, so this will be the one we spend most of our time on. I don't want to show off too much what we're going to do, but we have a little bit of work to do along the way, and then we'll take this train actually all the way to Paris. So Paris, Texas. Paris, France would be a very long trip. So we'll snake around here. This is the town of Princeton, and then we have Farmersville, and then also, let's see, we'll eventually get ourselves all the way over here to Paris. So we have just a little bit of work to do over here. So this actually, it's a really good time to do a stream on this route because the next train that I needed to run will have us tour most of the route. So that's actually a lot of fun. But this is Kingston Yard. Sorry about my voice. Last week or so I've been a little sick. So this is Kingston Yard. This is personally my favorite spot to work on the route. It's like the divisional or classification yard, if you were to say. But this is where all the stuff happens, and we do all the work. I've got all the classification tracks here. We've got a set of bowl tracks. It's not a hump yard, but it is. We do have some bowl tracks in case you needed extra space to either break down or build trains, but not a requirement. What I typically do is I typically leave all the cars bound for Paris, Texas, over on these tracks. So. And then, of course, have a little locomotive storage area, so if I feel like running any of these other locomotives, I can just go grab them. So the nice thing about modeling a fictional short line is you can run whatever you want on it. Although, I guess one trade-off is, since I don't really know how to reskin anything yet, I couldn't make my own if I was asked to, but I do have a friend who made some RS3s and some ST9s, and honestly, I need to get those in here for next time, so I'm sure he would appreciate seeing those. I just realized I need to pull up one more thing that we're going to need because we're going to run an aggregate train as well, which just kind of goes point to point. We'll just kind of run it, mostly forget about it. So let me go and get that up. Let's see, that is the KCS Ag East. Okay. All right, my friends. So here is the beauty of this route. Let's see. It should be showing you guys this. It seems that it's not. Oh, there it is. It's there. Okay. Maybe there's a lag. I'm not sure. Are you guys seeing the switch list? There should be a switch list on screen right now. That's what I'm showing. But there it goes. Oh, it's just a bit of a lag. Okay, that's all right. I didn't think about that, but that makes sense. All right, so what we have here, let's see. We have the train that we're going to break down. The switching is already done, so this is the cars that I picked up previously. These were our setouts over here. These were our pickups in blue. And then now we have our setouts, so to speak, in the yard here. So we're gonna classify these cars. I did go through earlier to make sure that I hadn't made any mistakes, so they all should be there. And then after that, we'll go get set up for our next train, which is what do you call it? Oh yeah, the DGNO to Paris way freight. So have a nice wish list for that too. One of the cool things about this particular train, this way freight here, is that I have some randomness programmed into it in JMRI, so it has 2 or 3 spots along the route that it could work, but sometimes the program generates 0 pickups and 0 setouts, so sometimes you just pass through and you don't do any work at all. And that's one of the cool things and the reasons I like JMR a lot. But this is kind of our setup. And then here's lastly our switch list for uh, the unit train, the aggregate train we're going to pick up. So we're going to run this back to Mineola, which is on the east end of the layout. And that's just kind of a run and forget kind of train there. So I'll show more of the switch list things when it's time to actually get these trains. But first up, let's go right here and let's start breaking down this train in Kingston. All right, so let's see. First up, we've got these two GBCX cars. So if I look at those are both going on 3 West. Where's that Santa Fe car going? Santa Fe car is going on 5 East. Okay. All right, and then we're back to 3 West. Okay, cool. All right, let's get him. Make sure he's good to go here. I'm going to run this in DCC mode just so things will be a little bit quicker. Of course, sometimes I do run in realism mode, but right now we're going to run DCC just because I only have about an hour and a half, and I want to try to get some work done. So that way you guys can kind of enjoy the ride. So we're going to take this to 3 West. That is here. Let's go ahead and let's see, make sure my direction's right. Oh, nope. Gotta change that direction. All right, there we go. So it looks like according to the switch list, our first 2 hoppers here are going to go on track 3 West, which is this track with these hoppers. These are cars bound for the ethanol mill. And then the Santa Fe car is going to go on track 5, which means it's actually going to get routed next time through to the Santa Fe interchange, which makes sense. And then these 2 KCS cars are also going on track 3, which will have them going to the ethanol mill. So let's make sure the switches are aligned for the lead here. Yep. Okay. Perfect. I don't know if I have enough space to cut the whole train here, so what we'll do is we will just separate these hoppers first, since I've already looked up where they go, and then we'll come back and get the rest of the train, and we'll break it down from there. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah, guys, thanks for the tip on the sound. I'll bring the game sound down a bit. Give me just a second for that. Let's see. I'll probably have it up a little high. I did turn my graphic settings down a bit, so hopefully we won't have too much lag. Oh, it is 10%. It's about as low as I can get it. Okay, I'll just do it this way. Bring it down here. Okay, let me know if that's a little bit better, if it's too low now. So, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate it very much. Good to see you. Thanks a lot, man. Look forward to having you check out all the stuff I've got. All right, let's see. We are decoupled. Let's make our move. Yeah, yeah. Always have your 3-point protection, right? Stay out of the red zone. I will be honest. That's one of the reasons I enjoy running Run 8. Is if I want to get that very realistic simulation, I can go get that fixed there, you know. But then I can spend 20 hours and not finish running a single train. Oops, didn't go far enough for the switch here. I keep forgetting. I need to go back into Surveyor and decrease the radius on these switches. There we go. All right, we are lined for switch 3. Let's go ahead and bring these in. I would kick them, but I don't have enough space. So if I tried to kick them, I would foul the ladder, and we don't want to do that. Glad the sound's better. Appreciate it. Oh, is my camera a little low? I guess I could do that right there. Yeah. All right. did, excuse me, sorry. I did deliberately make this yard considerably bigger than necessary so that it never really fills up. Oop, came in a little hard, but it's alright. They're just toys, right? Alright, let's go ahead and get clear here. This time, just because I want to, I'm going to go ahead and give enough clearance so we can kick the next two cars and go ahead and get back to the rest of the cut. So more or less kind of the way this yard works, if you've well, I haven't actually made a YouTube video on on this yard yet, so I guess I should talk about it. The way that this yard works is it's just a classification yard. So trains come in, they drop excuse me, sorry. They drop their cars off, and then I have some local switchers right over here behind these trees, and you can use the bowl if you want to classify them, or you can just come break it down in class over here. But basically, just to keep it simple and efficient, even though it may not be efficient in like realism terms, but just to keep it consistent, I made it where more or less each track of the yard serves just one train, and so that way it's quick to break trains down and it's quick to build them back up. And then of course I think it's four trains that either originate or terminate here. So you've got two interchange trains that come in, and you've got three locals. Actually, it's five trains. Actually, five trains. And so yeah, this is our busy yard where we have a lot of trains that come through and serve. There's two manifest trains who come in, and they work this middle track. So I've got it's an east and a westbound manifest. They come in, they drop their cuts of cars on these two RD tracks here, and then they of course pick up cars from the section here, and that gets a good 15 to 16 cars coming in for each train actually. So that can cycle almost 30 cars. And then the KCS interchange is on track 6, the Santa Fe interchange is on track 5, and those trains can also cycle probably 25 to 35 cars each or so. So on any given operation cycle, you could easily get 90 to 100 cars coming in and out of the yard, and that's not counting the local trains. That's just the interchange or the through trains. So quite a bit of car movement. There's times that I've spent running this single player. There's been times that I've spent probably 7 or 8 hours just working this yard. So, and I really enjoy that. I like working switch yards. So all right, let's go ahead and oops, wrong way. Let's go ahead and get our kick here. Yeah, that's true. That's the nice thing about making a route your way is you can do it however you want. You're right, RH Gaming Man. You're right. All right, let's see. I don't want to go too fast, but at the same time, I don't want them to stop short. So let's give them probably 8, and then we'll cut. There we go. One thing I haven't put in the JMRI for this route, which I would like to, which won't take me but 5 minutes to do. I just haven't done it yet because I've been working on other projects. I have an engine facility over here that takes sand and diesel fuel and engine oil shipments and all that stuff, but I haven't actually set it up, so it never actually routes any cars to there. That's over here, and so therefore these cars that are sitting here are not actually in JMRI, but I should do that sometime so you can actually deliver cars and pick up cars from there. All right, so let's go ahead and get hooked up. Once we make this couple here, I'm going to pull up the switch list so that we can take a look at what's next. We want to see where we're going to put the rest of these cars. So. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change direction on that. All right, let's see. So this time we have the CRDXs first. I'm going to make some highlights just so I can keep track of the ones we've already done. So we have worked these 4 cars, and we have worked the ATSF hopper. Okay. Within JMRI, you can do custom loads and things like grain, oats, wheat, barley, flour, all those kind of goodies. For this route, I just kept it with the default loads. Just to keep it simple. But even still, even with just the default loads, you get a lot of good car movement if you're using JMRI to help route your cars. There are, of course, some limitations, which I will talk in detail about on my JMRI series that I started on the YouTube channel for using this with trains. But still, I mean, if you're willing to take the compromises that you don't necessarily have to make with like an actual model railroad, you can really still get a lot of fun out of using JMRI to route cars. So, but if you've seen any of my other YouTube videos and you've seen me pull up the switch lists, it's always, from these JMRI printouts. So, all right, let's see. So we're looking at this CAGX. It says boxcar, but that is a typo. Actually, we're looking at the CRDX, but I do have a typo, and that happens sometimes. You can fix those for later switch lists, but we're looking at the CRDX. He goes to track 5. Next is the R box. He also goes to track 5. Okay. What about these coil cars? We have one coil car goes to the RD track, and one coil car is going to track 6. Okay. Let's go ahead and just worry about those 4 first before we get too complicated. I would love to sit here and tell you that I could look up all of these car movements and know exactly where they're supposed to go, but I wouldn't. I would forget. So we'll just worry about these first 4 for now, and then we'll look up the remaining 5 after that. But the first 2 we're going to go put on track 5. So we're going to pretend that we've got a brakeman over here who's going to throw that switch for us when we're done. So he's going to walk over and throw that switch, and then once we clear the entrance to the ladder here, he'll throw that switch for us as well. So I would get us a view from over here, but I'm afraid it'd be too loud with all these engines running, since I can't shut them off. All right, let's see. I forget exactly how many, but I think with the 2 yard goats, I think you can pull about 13 or 14 50-foot cars back here in the lead before you have to worry about clearances. So with this short of a cut, we don't have to worry about it at all. All right, let's go ahead and push forward. Let's see, those 2 are going to track 5. Give it a little more. I did recently purchase Trains 2019, the Platinum Edition, and so eventually, whenever I'm ready to face the challenge of transferring all my files over, I'm going to go ahead and make that shift. I wanted to do that for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to be able to use the unified driver surveyor, especially for running sessions like this. But 2, the different camera controls. This would be a good time here to use like the drone camera, so that it's not looking down so much. But it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and slow down and kick these. But I am definitely looking forward to getting that set up in the future. Alright, so one of these coil cars goes to track 6, and one of them goes to the RD track. Now, if I remember correctly, on these coil cars, I don't think these particular cars save their car numbers each time, so they're not going to match up. Yep, sure enough. So it actually then what that means is it doesn't matter which track we put them on, because their car numbers are never going to match. So if I were to go into JMRI right now and try to quote-unquote fix the car number for this coil car, literally the next time I load the session, it would be different, and so I'd have to just keep doing that, or I could just give up, which is what I did. So sometimes I make exceptions with these cars. Their car numbers don't match, and as long as you remember that, it's not a big deal. But for most of the cars, though, they do in fact continue to match up. All right, we will go ahead and not kick on this end. Slow down a little quick there. All right, let's go ahead and get clear. Do I have any other cars coming to this track? Yeah, quite a few. Okay, let's shove it down a bit so the rest of them we can kick. Make it go a little faster. Need about 3 cars worth of clearance. Not bad. That looks like it's about 1. Alright, I think that'll do. Alright, and back we go. So this guy has to go, this next cool car goes actually to the RD track. The RD track, I'll show you where that is. But that means that this car is just going to get picked up by the next manifest train that comes through. Then he goes to the west end. Okay, whew, lucky us. If we were going to have to put this car on the west end, we would have to pull half this cut and put him all the way over here, or just like toss him down for the crew on the other side to work. Fortunately for us, we can just shove him right here. That's going to be a bit of a mess. It's going to be a heavy cut to shove. But hey, this one's just a model, so we can get away with that. So let's have our imaginary brake throw the switch for us, and off we go. About a year ago, I did have someone on the trains forum ask me if I would consider making a full-scale or a real version of this fictional railroad, and so I did actually start working on that. And then right now I've got it on hold, definitely not permanently though, but just temporarily while I try to finish up my big route, the Kingston sub that I've been working on for a couple of years. That one's coming along well. I definitely think with that one I'm just a few months away from being finished, but obviously, like anything, there's still quite a bit of work to do. But I do have a full-scale version of this that I'll be working on. It's going to also be kind of a multi-year project, just because I'm going to try to do mile for mile the full 140 miles that this route represents. So I'm going to try to do it. Most of it is countryside, which does make it a bit easier. I do get pretty bogged down when I'm having to do high detail areas. Most of it is just countryside, and I can do that pretty fast, so I'm not too worried. But at the same time, I know it can still take quite a while, so it is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and start looking for the next one. So the AOK, this one was the one that it was misclassified. I think this is the CHEX right here. It just has the wrong what's it called? The letters for the railroad. I forget what it's called. It's on the tip of my tongue. Can't remember. Reporting marks. There we go. Reporting marks. All right, 287229. Let's see. Where are you going? Oh, it's not what I meant to do. I meant to click this one. That one is going back to 5E. All right, and then we have the ASAB. Where's he going? ASAB is going to track 6. All right, so we got some work to do. Okay. So first up, track 5, and then track 6. Not bad, not bad. I think after we sort these two, I think I'll go ahead and start the aggregate train, since we're going to just kind of get it running and forget about it. That's going to be nice and slow, and that'll maybe he'll run by us over here on the main while we're still working the yard. That would be cool to see. So I'll get there in just a second. I am definitely going to kick these cars. I think we'll go for let's go for about 9 on maybe 10, and then I'll kick it. And then the goes to track 6. We'll cut him at 8. At 8, we'll cut him off. All right, let's pause real quick for that. We have 1, 2, 3 left. Let's go get the aggregate train running. So the aggregate train, according to the switch list, is right here. It is currently sitting in KCS staging. KCS staging is over near Farmersville. So we have 28 cars to pick up, and that is sitting right here. So this one is hauling in all the aggregates. Very nice. Nice heavy train. Let's go ahead, make sure we have an engineer. We do, okay. All right, so let's line us out here, and there we go. I do have this set by default to just show restricting until you get onto the main, and then once you get onto the main, you can, in our case, we're going to upgrade to a clear. So, but this is a not similar recreation of Farmersville. Farmersville does not have an ethanol mill. It also does not have any railside industries, but it does have a KCS line that runs through town, and the KCS line does pass over Highway 380. So there's that. All right, let's go make sure the switches are lined up for the main. We're going to stay. We are not going to take the Y. Let's go ahead. Let's just get it set to there. That'll be about 10 miles an hour. That's good. There we go. Got to line that switch. All right, and then here, let's stay on the main. This is getting over into West Greenville. So Greenville in real life doesn't have like a west and an east, but on the layout, of course, I made it west and east just because there's so many industries here. Greenville, Texas does have quite a few things that go on there. So here we're continuing to head east. This is Emory. This is where my first YouTube video ever was made, was right here in Emory. Let's make sure we're good through the siding. And just in case we forget about this train, the nice thing about it is it runs a loop over here. And so when I throw the switch there the correct way, if we happen to forget about it, which I hope we won't, it will just circle back on itself, and I'll find it later and fix it after the session. So here we go. Let's get some lights on. I do use only download station assets, so naturally, you know, that horn may not be the most intriguing for most people, but the reason I did that is because originally I designed this layout to be used in multiplayer, and we did manage to have 2 multiplayer sessions with 4 people, each running trains at the same time. That was a lot of fun, actually. I was kind of dispatcher, and we had 3 train crew. I really enjoyed that, but the sad part about that was the coupler desync just started to get really nasty, and so we kind of gave up on that, which is completely understandable. It is what it is. All right, let's see here. The bar, the BNFE, and the other bar cars. So those are here. So let's see. We've already set that one out too. We set him out. I forgot to mark them. So the red bar car goes to track 5. So we'll put him back here. We'll give him a kick. And then I believe the last 2 go to track 6. That is correct. Okay. Excellent. We're pretty close, so I say we just kick him at about 6, 7. We'll see. We'll see when I get there. Yeah, BC, you were one of the fortunate ones that got to be a part of that. I think that was the epitome of what I'd been looking for in my life, especially since kind of where I'm at now in life with a house and growing kids and you know, raising a young family. I just don't really get a lot of space to build any sort of layout here, and so you know, this was my chance to kind of do my own operating sessions with friends, and so yeah, those 2 times that worked, that was a time of my life. I think that was a lot of fun. So maybe I keep holding on to the lofty hope that maybe sometime in the future I'll be able to get something working like that here. And if not, I'll just move over for multiplayer. At least I'll move over into either Run 8 or Railroads Online, which I also have, and I enjoy that as well for my Steam fix. All right, well, the good news, guys, we have now completely classified the West Greenville turn according to the switch list, so that is done. I'm now going to erase this. I don't need those done anymore. That's good. I'm going to close this out for now. I'm not going to save. Here are the crossing gates, so I know the aggregate train is getting close. So let's take a look and rail fan the aggregate train for a minute, and then we will head over to start building our DGNO train here. All right, so let's do it. Actually, let me get over to him real fast. Let's get him up to 10. That'll do. I think this is a reasonable view right here. It's good from time to time to stop for a minute and rail fan. I'd say that's always a good thing. I think this locomotive has ditch lights. I've seen them before. I guess it's not going to have it today, though. That's all right, though. Got some long shadows there. I can't remember if it's early in the morning or late or getting late in the evening. I'll have to check the time later if it starts to get dark on us. I don't mind playing the game at night, running it while it's nighttime, especially on longer routes. But honestly, when I'm having to look for a bunch of reporting marks and car numbers and all that jazz, I don't really like it to be very dark. It's not like I can walk up with a flashlight, look at that stuff. So this train runs nice and slow, and this is about all it is. But it's a point-to-point train, and the way I have it set up in JMRI is once it's terminated, the next time I run it, what it does is it will run the other cut of cars that's over there, which I believe are some sand hoppers. So yeah, basically, you pull the train over, you park the aggregate cars here on this spur, and then you just reconnect to the sand cars because that's what JMRI is going to pull next time. It trades off each time. In real life, there is an industry in Mineola with a loop track just like this, but I believe it's a feed mill for serving like the local cattle and chicken industries. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's been a while since I checked, so while I at least simulated the idea that there is an industry there in Mineola with a loop track, it's not a rock mill or anything, or like a gravel facility or anything like that. So, all right, let's go ahead and head over to the DGNO interchange. So that is over here on the west side of the route. This is the far west side. This is McKinney. McKinney is nice. It's got a good small class yard. It builds a manifest train. It has 2 locals, and then it's got like a local industry area here. This is the Union Pacific staging area for the Union Pacific trains that go from here to Mineola, which is just right around the corner. Mineola is actually on the east end, so that's the east end of the layout there. Here's the west end of the layout, and we don't actually have any trains that ever run between that except for just random through trains. So, these are, if I need to keep an operator busy but I don't have something for them to do, these are my through trains that I can run. So, a couple of stack trains, automotive train, coal train, that kind of stuff. All right, let's go and look at our train. So we have this particular track here, track 4. I know that's not what it says on JMRI. That's because my operating rules here, you can park it on whatever track you want. So Oh, just saw the statement about nighttime switching. Oh, dude, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine nighttime switching is terrible. Yeah, too bad you can't take a nap when you're sitting in the cab at night while it's running. I mean, I'm sure copping a nap at a siding or something while you're sitting in the hole is probably nice, but yeah, I imagine being out there at night having to use a light to check everything is probably really annoying. I wouldn't want to do that. All right, I have noticed. I love these Jeep 35s off the download station, by the way. Um, I believe it's David Madden. I think that's who it was. Did these? Did such a great job. But they are very loud, so I'm going to have to kind of keep my distance. I did go ahead and check my switch list before the stream to make sure that all the cars we need are there, and they are. The one thing that we would have to do with this train is if we had any cars we were going to be setting out anywhere along the route, we would need to put those in the front of the train. So normally what you do is you go over here, you take a look at the train, you look at what cars you're going to need to set out along the route, and then you start blocking this train right here in the staging yard before you actually leave staging. And according to the instructions I made, which I have right here, all right, yeah, see, right here. Line 3 tells us that we need to do some switching to get our cars in order for Paris. We want those at the front of the train. If you have a dispatcher, you want to ask the dispatcher to have some track and time on the west side of McKinney so you can be able to use the switches yourself since they're dispatcher controlled switches, and also so that he can keep other trains out of your way. And then that way you can work your train and build it. The reason you want to build it here in staging is so when you actually get out on the route, you can be as quick as possible. On the route, the dispatcher doesn't want you guys dispatcher doesn't want you guys eating up his time out on the line when you could have done that off of his main line in the yard. So, oh, I didn't know this. So it's like a 45-minute rule for taking naps. You have to alternate. Oh, that's nice. I didn't actually know this, but it's only when you're sitting. I guess that makes sense. So I guess they give you a 45-minute grace period. I have heard railroaders tell stories of um, both guys accidentally falling asleep and then waking up hours later where they're sitting in front of a green signal. It's like, oops. All right, so according to our switch list, we do not have any work anywhere except some pickups in Paris, so we don't actually have to do any blocking because our entire cut is going to go straight to staging in Paris. So we are more or less kind of just a run-through train. All right, let's just take a quick check on the aggregate train. He's not over here yet, so we don't have to worry about him. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and start lining some switches. So this train is heading eastbound. He is behind that aggregate train, so we don't have to worry about any conflicting moves with the aggregate train. I do not want to line into the yard, so now it's going to give us a yellow. That means that the switch at the end of the main here is not lined, which makes sense. It's probably lined in the yard. Let's go check that. There we go. Lovely. And let's just check on these switches here. I don't really have to check on them yet, but there's not any other trains coming through, so. All right, there's that. Perfect. Stay on the main here through Farmersville. Actually, that is right there. That is the main. Farmersville is busy, busy, busy. All right, and then once I throw that switch, the only difference is whereas the aggregate train took a right here, we're going to take a left to go towards Paris. All right, let's go get our train. Ooh, sorry if that was loud. All right, off we go. Yeah, RH. If you happen to be a real railroader out there, yeah, don't give away the secrets too much, man. Maybe save those for when you retire and you write a book about all your wild railroading experiences, right? Let's get a little more speed. It's a layout, so we won't zoom, but we're not going to crawl either. Get a good balance. I can imagine if this was a real model railroad and I had this big peninsula sitting out, I can just imagine the amount of people, working Mineola over here or something who would like back into this and bump themselves. Poor guys. I'm sure that would happen quite a bit. All right, looks like switches are all lined out. Secrets of the road, yeah. I will say one sad thing on a side note about trains is that of all the covered hoppers out there that aren't the Trinity hoppers or the 3-bay hoppers, all the either the 4-bay or the 5-bay or 6-bay hoppers, I haven't been able to find one that keeps the numbers from each session except for these JRPX ones. And so that made it where if I wanted a 4-bay covered hopper, I really could only use JRPX. And so obviously it's fine because, at the end of the day, if I don't see a bunch of pretty covered hoppers, it's not too sad of a thing. But, if you wanted some more variety in covered hoppers, and you want to keep the car numbers, you don't have that option, which is a bit sad, but it is what it is. Oops, going too fast. They still get the job done, and they get the job done well, so we'll take it. Huge shout out over here to my my off-screen assistant who is so vigorously making sure I have some light on me. How kind. Thank you so much. I didn't think about the lighting, so. Be careful though. I got a nice bald spot up here, so if I get the angle just right, I might put a glare on the camera for you guys. Too bad I don't have an applause sound effect. I put some applause on for my spouse over here. She's super awesome. That's one thing about having a young family. You gotta plan for this kind of stuff. We were talking about, her and I were talking yesterday about other streamers in the community and how cool the stuff is they make, and I wasn't feeling down or anything, but I was having a good conversation just about how I have to be very selective with how I spend my time. Do I spend my time working on the route? Do I spend my time driving trains? Do I spend my time editing videos or doing live streams? And what is it exactly that I want to do? Because I have a lot of responsibilities. I've got kids, and I've got my spouse, and I've got kind of a job and a half I have to work, and I have a tutoring business that I run. So I stay pretty busy. But it's good to be able to do this from time to time. But I have to schedule it with her, which is good. Fortunately, she was gracious enough to give me some time today. So thanks to her. Thanks to her. All right, let's go check on that aggregate train. I don't want to miss the mark with him. I don't see him yet, so he's ghosted me. There he is. Okay, still plenty of time. I will say when you're running this route at track speed, it does take about 30 minutes to go all the way around it. So that is a nice thing. That's a nice view right there. I like that view. This route is on the download station in case you guys are curious. Later on after the stream, when I get a chance, I'll go put the KUID in the stream, in the description for the stream, in case you guys might want to go download it. You can download the route, plus there's a multiplayer session that should still work. There's also a single player session, and then those are all free, so you're welcome, of course, to grab those and enjoy however you like. The single player session has about 600 rail cars on it and probably 40 or 50 locomotives, so it's got quite a bit that you can do. But that stuff's all free, and the route is free, and it'll always be free. It was my first release for the public, and I think overall, over the course of all the versions, I think last time I checked, I was just over 2,000 downloads. So that was really awesome. That was super encouraging, and At one point, I found out that it had this huge following over in Germany, which I thought was really cool. So I got really popular over there for a while. So, but yeah, if you guys want to grab it, feel free to go do that. Everything you need for it should be either there's a few JR payware items like some locomotives and a few rolling stock pieces, but I think most of the actual route assets are all just on the download station or built in. I tried really hard to vet that for all the different versions, so no matter what version you have, North American or the full version or the Platinum or the Plus version, it should work for each of those versions. So they're all kind of finicky and have their own different things that are built in and whatnot. So I tried to take care of all that a little over a year ago when I finally finished it. So all right, here we are coming into downtown Princeton, Texas. This is not at all what downtown Princeton, Texas looks like, but that's the beauty of having a model railroad is you can make it what you want. Plus, since there's no rail service in Princeton, Texas, there's not even tracks through there anymore. Used to be, but not anymore. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get our sequence for the grade crossing. All right, let's go see how we're doing over here. Not bad. So all these industries are served by a local that runs out of McKinney. So you got it. It builds in McKinney Yard, departs McKinney Yard, heads over to Princeton, works these. There's actually, let's see, 1, 2, 3 industries in Princeton, and then it continues west. East actually to Farmersville, and then works. I think there's 4 industries in Farmersville, and then heads back to McKinney after that. The ethanol plant that's in Farmersville, which we'll take a nice look at here in a little bit, it's one of my favorite industries. It is actually not served by that local from McKinney. The ethanol mill is served exclusively from a local in Kingston Yard, just because it actually gets enough traffic all by itself to have its own local. So. Here in the foreground is the KCS staging, and of course in the background is the main line heading to Farmersville. So this I was told, a while back when I built the scene, I was told that this was a crowd favorite. People said it was really well done. I always thought that was super kind, but it's I guess it's one of the nicest things I've made. I spent a lot of time doing this. I'll be honest. Doing those road markings was it was pretty intense. Oh, RH, my man, running the route right now. Oh, look at that. Good man. Oh, but without Jim Wright? Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So a long time ago, for those of you guys who are curious maybe, for a long time ago I was giving out the JMRI profile. Then I realized that is just a real hassle. It's just really difficult to get people to understand how to install it and then use it. And so I gave up on that. So what I did instead was I printed like 60 switch lists, which means you can run 60 trains in sequence. And that gives you about 3 full cycles of the railroad. And I did that instead, put some train orders together, and I'm working on a map. And I figured that I would put that on a website here soon and sell that as my first little third party thing that I would offer, like a content pack to help you make sense of it. Obviously, you can get the route and the sessions for free, and you can do whatever you want with it and have a lot of fun. There's so much you can do. And you can even make changes to it if you wanted to, because it's yours. Of course, you'd have to keep those for yourself, but for those who maybe want to run it the way it was designed, eventually here soon I'll start offering that content pack. So I call it my operations package. But I put some good time into making sure that would be meaningful for people. So when it's ready, I'll put a video out about it so you guys can see it. But I don't want to pitch it too much. Obviously, I'm not ashamed to pitch the things that I've put my time into because I understand that they have value and they add value, but at the same time, um, the purpose of this stream is not to do a sales pitch. So we'll say that was a good pitch, and we'll talk about it more later, and we'll go back to talking about the things we love. This is one of the things I liked about Trains 19 is we finally got some good livestock assets that look nice. I didn't use the animated ones over here, but there is a different part of the route where I use some animated cows. Feel free to go look for them at some time, see if you can find them. So I think, yeah, 5 o'clock. So yeah, it's getting close to evening time. So no wonder the lights are coming on. Alright, so I just remembered we haven't checked on that aggregate train in a while, so let's roll over there and check on him, make sure he's not running the loop yet, because he's probably getting close. In fact, I think I hear him. Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah, he's getting close. Not bad. I'm going to slow him down just a bit, and then that way we can go watch over here for a bit. So this line to Paris, I actually added this after the fact. My original idea here was I was going to more or less just kind of ignore this and just make the staging yard kind of all this does. I was just going to have it loop and go right into staging. But then back when I was still developing it, one of the guys I was talking to a lot back then suggested that I go ahead and try to make Paris and fit it back there. And then I realized, I do actually have quite a bit of space. And honestly, I'm really glad I took his advice, actually, because there was definitely plenty of space for Paris back here. So we loop around, we cross over to get to the inside, and then here's where we work our way over to the town of Paris. So Paris has a unloading facility for cars from auto wrecks. We have like a warehouse here. There is a bread facility, like a bakery. And then I forget what this one's called over here, but it takes, I think, like corn syrup shipments. I forget what that industry's called. I can look on the map right quick and see what it says. What's it say? This is, oh, yeah, it's the Paris cold storage. Okay, never mind. So I guess the tank cars of syrup or whatever they carry goes here to the bread plant. But so this is the cold storage. All right. But this facility here, this bakery, was actually named after a friend of mine from my model railroading days when I was part of a club who has passed away a few years ago. It's very sad, Mr. Batson. He was a master model railroader, so I learned a lot from him. He definitely loved mostly narrow gauge logging railroads. That was his thing. All right, we also have in Paris a team track. We have a chemical factory, so it takes in different chemicals and creates tar, kind of ships out tar. So there's the unloading facility for the aggregates. Here's the loading facility for the tar. And we actually, on this train, we only work the tracks that are trailing us. So we're not actually going to switch any of those industries. The only industry that we're able to switch are these two. But if you notice, we have 3 pickups here at Bats and Breads, which are most likely going to be these 3 right here. But we don't actually have any setouts. So when the train runs the other direction, then it comes through and it works the warehouse, the auto unloading facility, and then the team track in Callison here. So when I made this layout at the time, my friend, Mr. John Callison, was alive, but now, unfortunately, here in the last year, Mr. Callison has also passed away. So when I joined that same Model Railroad Club years ago, Mr. Callison was the first person that I worked with my first day there. So very, very cool guy. Spent like, I think 50 years or so, 40 years maybe, doing AC repair work for air conditioners. So Good career, talented guy. All right, let's see. Making some good progress. Let's check real quick that all the switches are good, because I didn't actually check. I want to stay on the main. If you see right here, we need to stay on the main. Just make sure we're not going to go into anything we don't want to go into. Okay, yeah, that looks good. All right, cool beans. Nice green signal. All right, let's go check real quick about the 3 cars we need to pick up. So I'm going to pull up the switch list. We have a tanker. It's black, 6028 28.4, and then CSX hopper and a Burlington Northern hopper. CSX hopper. There's a TSCX tanker and the Burlington. Okay, yep, that's it. So those are our 3 pickups. What we'll do, we'll just come in with our locomotives and we'll just cut right off the front of the train, and we'll go run our light engines back and grab those, and then get right back on the front and head on out. So according to the train orders, technically, when we get here, we're supposed to stop and request clearance to have track and time. Now, since I'm also the train crew and the dispatcher today, we're just going to assume that we have it. So. I think the last time I ran a session by myself on single player here, I think I was running 4 trains at once. Like, I think I did all the switching and stuff and got them all set up. And then I think I ran all 4 of them just so I could have a couple of meets at different places along the route. That was a lot of fun, but it was a lot to handle. If you've ever jumped around a route on trains trying to run 4 trains manually at once, that's a lot. I don't use AI trains on this layout. I didn't set it up for it. I could go back and set it up for it, but I didn't. All my big routes, though, you know, the 40, 50, 60 mile plus routes that I have, I set all those up to run AI trains, so I can just have the AI train go and then I can go do some switching. So that's what I like to do. All right, let's go ahead and bring this one to a stop. And I'm going to take that opportunity to go and check on the aggregate train. He was getting pretty close over here. Yeah, see, he's coming in now, so that's good. Taking his time, though, so that's all right. We got plenty of time on him. All right, let's go ahead. Let's make our pickups, and then after our pickups, we'll come back and check on that aggregate train. Maybe he'll be ready for us to go park him. We are right at the hour mark. That's good. That's good. I was hoping that we would definitely finish at least this train for sure within the hour and a half or so. So I'll go for about 30 more minutes. What we'll do is, if we can manage to park this one in time, I'll go ahead and start talking about the next train and see if we can maybe at least get it started. But we definitely won't finish the next train. So don't get your hopes up on that one. I got to get back on baby duty. So trading off taking care of the baby right now, which is fine. Yeah, BC, I can understand. You know, it's enough to handle them when they're in DCC mode, and even then, honestly, when I run that many trains at once, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a ton of fun. I mostly just do it to kind of make things move faster and be able to set up some meets, but it is pretty stressful, and I am going to be honest and say I have derailed a couple here and there. But I think running this single player, I think this is my 3rd cycle through all the trains. So, you know, that's 18 trains times almost 3. So I'm running like my 50th train right now. And I've definitely, you know, each train averages about 2 hours. Some trains take 3 or 4 hours to run, some just take an hour. And so honestly, you know, even if I were to run them all just one at a time, you know, that's almost 100 hours right there that I've spent running trains on this session, and it just keeps going and going and going. And that's one of the big reasons I chose to use JMRI initially. for this route was I wanted to get something that was, endlessly replayable. So definitely think I accomplished that for sure. But yeah, running one train is definitely enough. Thank you again to everybody who's come in to watch. I really appreciate all your support, your viewership. If you're subscribed to the channel, also thank you for that. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. I have lots of good videos you can go back and watch. Um, I've got speeding up instead of slowing down. I've got some videos on using JMRI for building a route. I've got lots more videos of that coming. That has understandably not been anywhere near as popular as like just operations videos in general. So my channel will definitely mostly be focused on just running trains and building routes in trains and all that good stuff. But if you ever consider at least checking out, the possibility of using JMRI, I have endeavored to put a series together to try to be helpful with that. So maybe when it's all done, it'll add some value and be worth the watch. We'll see. But yeah, thank you all for joining today. Really appreciate it. One thing on this route that I did not ever attempt was Turfex. At the point when I was building this route, I didn't have a clue how to use Turfex. I didn't feel like learning about it. I was really nervous about it, so I didn't bother. I also didn't bother with a bunch of grass blinds just because I know that they can eat up a lot of hardware processing. Um, but I do really use a lot of grass blinds on like my bigger routes. So, but I did actually take one route, which was the full scale route for this one, and I endeavored to learn how to use Turfex for that one, and I have been using Turfex, and it's actually really nice. So that route doesn't have a lot of grass blinds up close because I figured out how to get a combination of different Turfex assets kind of coordinated that I really liked that look really good. So the only downside of Turfex is, if you have these high up cab views and you're looking down at the ground like this, you can't really see it at a distance. You can only really see it when you get down to this level, and then it's like, oh look, there's grass. But it's still, especially if you like to drive cab view, it's very nice, and that's when I really enjoy it. Because on those bigger routes, that's all I do is I just drive cab view for the bigger routes with the long, heavy trains and all that good stuff. Oops, saw your comment there, RH. Which you talking about the single session, or the single player, or the multiplayer session? If you don't mind, let me know, and I will go look and fix it up. And if I have to, I'll put a new one on the download station at some point. I assume you're talking about the single player one, not the multiplayer. But yeah, let me if you don't mind, let me know, and I'll go work on that later. All right, we're going to assume that we are good from the dispatcher. Go ahead and head out. We now have, let's count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 cars according to the switch list. We should be departing Paris with 18 cars. You had to delete whatever train is on the closest track to the edge. Oh, that's over here on track 6. That's this stuff. It may not be the same cars, of course, because I've operated beyond that, but you're saying you had to delete this track, or the cars on this track. That's a bummer. If that's all it is, I'll at least go look at it and see what I need to change, but fortunately that's only, what, possibly 30 cars? Yeah, I assume you're probably on the single player session. I assume so. Yeah, I'll take a look at that and see if it's something I can fix, and I'll put a new version on the download station. All right, let's go ahead and get some speed up. Geographically, this part of Texas is just a bunch of farmland. There's no longer any rail service out here from uh, Kingston to Paris. It's all abandoned, and so it's the old. There actually was a Santa Fe line that ran from Dallas all the way to Paris. It was like the Paris branch of the Santa Fe. And years ago, they had a local train that ran to Paris and back a few days a week. from Dallas. But now it's just, of course, like a long rail trail, and then there's this big bridge over the Sulphur River that's broken down, so you can't even cross that bridge anymore. Like if you look on Google Maps, I think you'll literally see the bridges, the trusses are like in the river, or they're on the riverbank, so they're torn to pieces. Looks like we have a advanced. That's not advanced. Yeah, it is advanced approach because I did it just single head. So that means we have a yellow coming up. Makes sense. The yellow would be here because naturally, when you reach the end of the staging track, it's the end of the line. But yeah, so geographically, there's not any rail service here, so it's just a bunch of farms. Oh, you're saying all the derailed cars were causing some. Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, shoot. Well, then just delete them and forget about them, man. Oh, and you're gonna replace them with OVS power? Nice. I don't blame you, man. Especially since you have all that, all those custom reskin locomotives. I would totally use them. If I had, which I will say, when I finish the full size NTB route, I'm definitely going to commission for payment some NTB locomotives, and I definitely will say, like, once I get those, some Dash 9s, and Dash 9s are my favorite modern locomotives, some Dash 9s and some SD70 Max and those kind of things, I'm definitely going to be using them for all the time. So, all right, so our task here, we're going to just go ahead and run this right into the staging yard. The one thing that I personally always do with staging is I go ahead and I decouple the power and just run it around to the other end and get ready for the next train. So when we look at the next train out, which we'll talk about what that is here in just a second, even though we're not going to get to run it, we might go ahead and block it. What you do is whenever you run a train out of staging, you always, just like before, you block it before you leave. So we'll see what we have. Oop. So let's see. I do think the next train. Let's see. This is the DGNO to Paris. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot about that aggregate train, didn't I? I'm sure it ran the switch over here. Let's see if it derailed too. No, it didn't. It just passed it. Okay, so we're gonna cheat for a second. We're gonna just stop it, and later on, after the session ends, I'll come back and I'll just back it in right there, and we'll park it. So I'll fix that later. That was fun though, guys. I enjoyed running that aggregate train. So what I was actually looking at, I told you I'd forget about it. I told you I would. What I was looking at was the next train. So the next train is, let's get away from those locomotives. The next train is the Paris to Santa Fe train. Okay, yeah, sure enough. So the way this works is we bring this train in the staging, we park it in staging, we run around, and then it becomes the next train out. So what we do is we then block it because, remember, it came from the DGNO interchange in McKinney, all right, and it went northeast to Paris. So then what I have it do is I have it become the southbound train from Paris to the Santa Fe interchange, which is in Greenville, okay? And so what this does is this allows me to take cars from McKinney, take them to Paris, work some of Paris, and then have them go basically to Greenville to the Santa Fe. And then that allows me, instead of sending them right back to McKinney where they came from, it lets them go to a different part of the route. And then that way, next time when they're dragged out of the Santa Fe staging, they're going to go to Kingston Yard, and then they can just get sent anywhere. So having it kind of trade off the movement instead of going right back where it came from just creates a lot more variability in movement. And what I usually do is I simultaneously build a train that comes from the Santa Fe interchange to Paris, and so those trains meet each other, and it just kind of accomplishes the same task. That train comes to Paris, it works Paris, and then when it leaves Paris, it goes to the DGNO interchange in McKinney, and that helps me cycle another, 20 to 30 cars per train. So that just helps make it where it's not repetitive. And so a car that you guys are seeing that we took on the train right now, like for example this Rock Island Trinity Hopper, that car is probably not going to be seen in McKinney anytime soon for probably another 10 or 20 trains. So it's going to take it a long time to get back where it started. And in my opinion, that's one of the major beauties of using JMRI, and it's why I love using it so much. As long as you're willing to make those few compromises. Okay, just looking at the chat here. Oh, RH. Okay, yeah. We'll PM and we'll talk about a few things. Yes, sir. And okay, well, oh, so the multiplayer is the one that's messed up. Okay, yeah. I may or may not update that one. I'll think on it. I might. The single player session naturally got a lot more downloads than the multiplayer one did, so I might fix the MP session. I might not. We'll see. But yeah, thanks though for clarifying that for me. I appreciate it. Oh, hey John Riso, what's up, man? Dude, thanks for joining. Good to see you. I got to tell you something funny, man. I was watching Approach Medium's stream the other day. I was watching it after the fact because I was busy and I wasn't able to watch it while he was doing it live. And I noticed that you inadvertently gave me a shout out on there, man. So that was kind of you. I appreciate that. That made me happy. So I took a photo and I was like, hey, look. I was like, I got someone is talking about my content. That was cool. So that was, for me, that was a very surreal but awesome moment. So thank you, John. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on today and hanging out. Yeah, RH. Yeah, your opinion on multiplayer. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Unless, because honestly, like I know it got quite a few downloads, but um, I don't think anybody's playing it ever because naturally, multiplayer is not doing very well, and there's just so many cars. It gets a lot of coupler desync. So yeah, I'm with you. I'll probably just ignore it. But I'm glad the issue's not in the single player. I definitely would have fixed that one if it was on the single player. All right, let's just back up here and connect. How are we doing on time? I've got about 12 minutes. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so let's see. Do I have the switch list for the next one pulled up? I don't. Okay, let me get that pulled up. We don't need that switch list anymore, but that's okay. So our next switch list, we'll do the Paris to Santa Fe. That's that one. We'll look at that here in just a second. There we go. All right. So technically, that move, that couple right there, terminates the uh, train that we've just been running all this time from DGNO up to Paris. So as an operator, you would now tell the dispatcher, hey, that train's done. I'm good. We're tied down in Paris staging. I would go into JMRI. I would hit terminate so that JMRI also knows that this train is done. And then I would go ahead and build the switch list for the next one. So for the next one, let's talk about this one for a second. This one looks pretty busy, actually. That's good. All right, so let's see. We're going to be departing Paris staging. That's where we are. So here are the cars we're picking up. We're picking up 18 cars, which is the train that we just had, so that's good. Notice this time that their loads have changed. So it looks like, I guess, they were empty before, and now they're loaded. I have staging where it switches car loads. So we actually have a much heavier train now. But that's good. And so what we then would look at is we would say, okay, so let's check at Paris. So we have some work in Paris. We have a few pickups to do. Let's see. It looks like we have one set out. Okay. So then what we would do is we would make sure we would go fish this one car out, which I know is kind of annoying, and honestly, in the grand scheme of railroading, fishing out one car is not necessarily important. But I still like to have all my set outs at the front of the train in order. So if this is our one set out in Paris, we're going to go grab that car first and put them in front. But then we got to pick up all of these cars, and then we'll be leaving with a pretty heavy train here, pretty long train for the model. So my max train length is 1,600 feet, so we'll be looking at about 1,400. That's a pretty good sized train. That's 24 cars. Yeah, it's quite a bit of work. And then here's something nice. Since we're running to the Santa Fe yard through Greenville, we get to work the Kingston yard. So what happens here is we have a couple of cars will drop off in Kingston, and then Kingston Yard is going to set out a few cars for us to pick up. And the way this works, I've set it up on the main here. I'll go show you. So let's go to Kingston Yard. So like I said before, these are the cars that I set aside for Paris, right? So the Kingston Yard crew would come over here and they would look at the switch list and they would say, okay, we need to grab these 4 cars. And they would go find these 4 cars right over here. And then they would take them over on the east end of the yard and take this crossover right here. And they go set them on this siding. So this siding from that crossover to this crossover right here, this is the Paris interchange track. And the reason it exists like this is because the train that we're going to run, which I can always run in the next live stream if you guys want to, is going to come right here on the main, and it's going to come right where my mouse is right here, right in front of us. But it's not ever actually going to go into Kingston Yard. It's going to pass Kingston Yard. So the train crew or the yard crew sets those cars out for us, and then we just work the control point, pick them up, and then we drop our cars off for them at the same spot. And then that's how we keep running, and that's how we stay as a way freight instead of actually going into the yard. So what we'll do, let's go ahead, since we have some time here, I've got about 7 minutes. Let's go ahead and at least block the train, and then if we have time, we'll go ahead and we'll head out. I think this is that SP boxcar right here, 605582. Yep, that's it. Let me pause for just a second though. I want to go ahead and change the time of day. Session option, sorry, right there. Let's go ahead and get it around like 8, just because the shadows are bugging me. All right, there we go. Besides, it's a new train on a new day, right? So we can, pretend that, hey, we're the morning crew and this is our work now. So that actually worked out really nice. All right, check the chat real quick. Hey John, I'm not super familiar with computers, but I would imagine that burning up that power supply is probably one of the most annoying problems you could have, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I had an old computer. It was a Dell. My parents bought it for me when I graduated high school, and that computer was a good one. For the time, it was a good medium range computer, but that laptop lasted for like 9 years. But by the time that I finally stopped using it because I was out of college and working and bought myself my own computer, that thing had definitely given up the ghost, and the battery didn't work. And so yeah, when I had replaced the power supply a couple times, I just gave up on that thing. I was like, I've had enough of this. But the funny thing is, even though that computer doesn't work, I actually still have it sitting here in the house because I was never able to give it away or pawn it or anything because nobody wants it, obviously. But I was still running Windows Vista on that thing well after Windows 8 was available. Oh man, but I hope you have some luck with that power supply, man. All right, let's clear this switch here. We'll just kind of set the SP boxcar off to the side. because we're going to put him at the front. That went far enough. Like I said, I need to go back and drop the radius from 20, which is the default, down to 1 on these switches. Oh, it's the actual cord that's doing it. Yeah, that's frustrating. If it makes you feel any better, I have power supply issues with the couches in my house. It's not a computer, but it's my couches, because my huskies that we have when they were puppies, they would sneak behind the couch if we like stopped watching for a minute or got busy with the kids or something, and they chewed up all the cords to our couch. So now our couches don't recline. So if I wanted to replace the cords, I'd have to open up the power supply and solder some new connections and all that stuff, which I've considered doing if I bother to take the time to go get the cords and do it. But yeah, that's frustrating, man. Hopefully you can figure that out. I think looking at how I made this move, I think there probably was a way I could have made this move in order to have less actual movements. But I won't worry about it too much. Sometimes I do try when I'm doing single player, sometimes I do try really hard to focus on, okay, how can I do all these moves with the least amount of actual train movement, or sometimes even car uncoupling, because I do understand from talking to my professional railroad buddies that what actually can really take the most time is not necessarily getting the train to move, but doing all the coupling and the uncoupling and all that stuff, and the pumping air into the cars and all that. So, or bleeding the air if you need to do that. So what I tend to do when I'm doing this by myself, I tend to look and see, how can I strategize and practice making moves with the least amount of whatever consumes the most time. That way, to try to be realistic. But I do that so that when I go to these operating sessions on people's real model railroads, which is a lot of fun, I don't look like an idiot. That way they can be like, oh yeah, you seem to be pretty experienced. And I'm like, oh, thank you, because the only problem I'm really having is just where the heck is everything, as opposed to like, oh yeah, how do I set that car out over there, because I don't know how to do that. So that's what I try to do for myself. But whenever I do multiplayer or whenever I'm with other people, I'm not a picky operator, so I try to be fun, and if people mess up, it's like whatever. We just have a good time. Come on. So it looks like with my time limits, I will just get this move done and get this train built, and then I'll have to go, and that's okay. That is okay. That's how it goes sometimes. All right, let's see. Let's see. Sorry, I was just taking a second to respond to some of the text messages from all the people telling me, congratulations and thanks, good job. So as we make our final move here, definitely wanted to say thank you all for joining. Hopefully you had a good time. Obviously, I would definitely love to stream for much longer. I mean, running this next train especially would be a lot of fun. But seeing that there's been quite a few people in and out in the session, so some good support, especially considering it's only my second live stream on my channel ever. We will definitely be doing this again soon. And so I think what I'll do is I'll probably just save this next train for our next live stream, and we'll definitely do that together next time. So, but yeah, thank you all guys. Thank you a lot for coming and joining and hanging out. Um, this is fun stuff. So I just wish that in a different world, that this could be a live stream of all of us having a multiplayer session together. That's what I really wish. So maybe, couple more years from now, as trains continue to develop, maybe they'll actually get a working and fully supported multiplayer model up. I don't really expect it, and I don't criticize them for their business decisions, but uh, that's what I really enjoy about trains. So hopefully they'll get that together in the future. If so, then I will definitely be live streaming multiplayer sessions of stuff like that. But it's been fun, guys. Thank you all. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more cool stuff. I do have some videos coming out soon that I've been working on. So I've had a good time today. It's been a nice little break. Good Sunday afternoon to do this with you guys. So take care of yourself and stay tuned, and we will see you all next time.